listening to Awake Radio, straight talk for the awake and aware.
Good evening. This is Chrissy McMahon, and you're listening to Alchemical Connections. Tonight on Alchemical Connections, brought to you by WakeRadio.us and shizizradio.com, we will have a very special guest, Paul Wesley. Paul, also known as Prince Truthchaser, is my special guest. He's a journalist, universalist, self-empowerment teacher, activist from Philadelphia who encourages the importance of love vibration and how we can create our realities through thoughts. So without further ado, I just want to say hello, Paul. Prince Truthchaser, thank you so much for being on Alchemical Connections.
Thank you guys so much for having me on. It's great being here and being able to share my information with everyone that's going to listen.
Awesome. So I guess we'll start with, that was a real short little bio, so maybe you want to talk about how you came into this information, like how you started out as Prince Truthchaser, what led you on this path, and what's transformed in your life that has led you to be the peaceful warrior. And there's a lot more questions I'm going to have. So thank you, Paul. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me again. It's pretty much one day you wake up and you look around you and I mean, a lot of people you hear, well, there's the Great Awakening and people just need to snap out of what's going on and really wake up to reality of what we can do. And I think that's what happened with me. I just looked up in the sky one day. I seen chemtrails were being sprayed in the air, and I looked around and I said to myself, well, what is this? So I decided to do a little soul searching on the internet, and then I ran into, the term chemtrails and the term geoengineering, and then from there the Illuminati, and from there the New World Order, and one thing led to another, and after researching, I just really asked the hard question to myself as well, okay, these things are happening, but what can I do to actually make a difference and wake up people in the world? And as far as the name Prince Truthchaser is concerned, when I was little, my mom used to call me a little prince, and the chaser, so that's where I got the prince from, but the chaser would be like, you're always chasing the truth, so Prince Truthchaser. Because even when we think we have found the truth, we actually didn't, because even when we find what we think is the truth, there's always something else out there that needs to be found.
Absolutely. I agree. I totally agree. So you just woke up and just jumped right in and took on basically the New World Order. It's like, well, the powers that were, I like to call them, and I really appreciate the condescending
exactly
terms.
and
Good. I just said I appreciate the condescending terms.
Exactly, and it was one of those things. Well, and it was one of those things too. I think that I realized that no one else around me was really talking about chemtrails. There's other groups like that are activism groups in the Philadelphia area, but certain things like that I had hit home on. I just decided to get out there and to make it my mission to really wake up people. And I think I went from chemtrails, and then took it to where I would just film everything I've seen. Different rallies March Against Monsanto. I just recently marched against the mainstream media. And before March Against mainstream media even started, I decided to just go out in front of Fox News and call them out, a Fox News channel and CBS 3. I just really have that one person can make a difference mentality. And I just think that it's vital to really empower ourselves and get our minds that we can really make a difference. Individual people. And from there.
Can you hear me?
That sounds good. I have I'm a host of a small radio show. It's called, kind of like a YouTube radio show. It's called The Channel of Truth. Well, I just kind of do like you guys do, just interview people that are like-minded and people that really have a message that needs to get out, and kind of try to reach as many people as I can, so that way we can selectively like get in on this whole, waking up everybody type of thing. And I got a website, 2 YouTube channels, but mainly just, universal stuff. I do a little bit of like UFO stuff, and I also do like a lot of, mostly activism too, so. But definitely just about getting the message out and letting people know it's time to make change. It's really time for us to get together and kick in and be the change we want to see in the world.
Absolutely. And you're also an author, so maybe you'd like to talk a little bit about your book.
Yeah, it's called From the Couch to the Cosmos, and it's basically a book about my life, the life of someone who basically just, didn't know what was going on and finally awoken to the fact that, hey, we live in a tyrannical society right now, the tyrannical government, who wants to take our rights away, wants to take our essence as human beings away, wants to depopulate 90% of the planet. And from there, how, I awoken and empowered myself to not only make change, but empower others. And I think that, it all starts with a vision, knowing that you can do it. Once we get it in our head that we can do it and nothing's going to stop us, that's what it's all about. So that's really, my life is really what's going on in my life now really inspired me to write this book.
That's amazing. It's really. And how long ago did you write your book?
It's not actually finished yet. It's in the end stages. So hopefully by August, this should be a finished product. So
Perfect.
I'm really excited, and I'm really excited. So, and this is just the beginning, because I really do what I do to show others, like you guys do. We do what we do so we can show other people that despite what's going on in the world, we can actually, we can create our own reality through our thoughts to really turn around what looks like the impossible, and turn it around into something good.
Absolutely.
Because Chrissy, because the clock is ticking, and we're behind in the game. See, like when I go out and I interview people on the street, 90% of the people are clueless. They don't know. You ask them about Barack Obama, and you say, well, is he Democrat or Republican? They don't know. If they don't know that, then you try to explain, hey, look, they're poisoning our food, air, and water, and they're signing executive orders to take away our rights. They want to take away our guns. It's just wow. So it's really rough, but it's one of those things where I think on a collective level, on an individual level, that when we get out there and we do it, there is no fail. You understand what we're doing right now? There is no fail, because even if the globalists win, on an individual level, I believe that through our soul experience, and that gets into like universalism, when we talk about the actual soul and how we live our life is how we create a reality. So I don't think there is a lose on an individual level.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful how you're weaving this all together, because I think that's the important aspect is what's your intention. What are you really trying to create? Are you trying to make it a better place? Are you trying to make yourself a better person? And when we do that, when we love ourselves and better ourselves, then we stand a better chance of being able to create something wonderful, externally and share with other people. And I love the way you look at that the individual has the power to do that. And I think it's so important that having a group of people is awesome. And I don't, would never belittle that, because I think it's just as important. But I think as one person with an intention, with an honest, pure heart, that they can create. I mean, look at Gandhi. Look at Martin Luther King. We can just go down the list. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And that's the thing. I really promote groups. I love seeing people get together and really shake the system and awaken minds. And I think that, I love promoting groups. And that's what I do. I get out there, and if you're doing a rally about, you want to end the federal government, you want to really tear down the corrupt system and build it up with love vibration, I'm going to be there with a camera and make sure thousands of people see it, or as many as I can. And I also believe that, I want to get out there and really get into the meat and gravy of what's going on in people's minds and really promote groups, because that's what we need. We need people that are organizers and are good at it, and we need people that are good individually to get out there and really do the groundwork.
Absolutely. I mean, we need all of us. We need everybody. Everybody's gifts, everybody's talents, and it all comes together. And it's I interviewed Freeman when I moved back to the mountains this time, and he had gone through last summer the friendship agenda, where they got this idea they were going to leave their home and live in a bus and just travel around the United States and try to make friends, because the media was telling everybody that you can't trust your neighbors, everybody's a criminal, or everybody's going to try to kill you, or all this crazy nonsense. And I knew in my heart that wasn't true. I knew, like, when I was at work, they'd be watching the news and they'd be saying, like, all this awful stuff is, just constantly bombarding you with all this horror and death and mayhem. And I was like, well, how do you know that's really happening? Is that happening on your block? Is that happening in your neighborhood? And they would shake their head and say no. I said, well, how do you know that's even happened? How do you know that's even real on television? I mean, they're making it up,
Right.
Which they do. They really do. And people will kind of stop and look at me, and I said, your neighbors, your neighbors, the people in your neighborhood. You can trust them, they're loving. And then, and there are neighborhoods where people are getting killed and all this other stuff, and I, don't want to belittle or anything those realities, because it's happening for some people. But I think, it comes back to your intentions. What kind of neighborhood do you want to live in? What kind of neighbors do you want? What do you want to be happening on your block? So I think that's how you, how can you live in Philadelphia, Paul, and have such a good, positive attitude, trying to promote a love vibration, and all these terrible things are happening in Philadelphia if you watch the news. How do you do that, Paul?
Well, I mean, I kind of get the whole how do you do that out of my mind, because once we embrace that how do you do that mentality, then we limit ourselves to not how are we going to do it. We limit ourselves to when we can do it. And I think that with me, I see universalism, a lot of universalism. There's only very few who actually mix that with activism, and that's what I want to do. I want to really. A lot of activists that just go against the government, I want to let them know that this is a mind game, that this is the elitists, they understand how the mind works, and they understand how the universe works. And I think that a lot of activists don't understand that part of the universe. So what I kind of want to do is, what I am going to do is I'm going to wake up people and say, you know what, we can fight them. But like you just said, you said that, all we see is negativity, because what they want to do is they want to create that reality subconsciously in people's minds.
Right.
So that they create that reality because they're seeing that reality through that mind control box we call the TV.
Right.
And, there are parts of Philadelphia that are negative, but it's my job, because I know what's going on, to actually go to them neighborhoods and say, look, what you're seeing on TV is only a fraction of what you need to be seeing, and that's when I would go down to, like, say 25th and Lehigh, where I'm the only Caucasian man that are there, and I'll be passing out hundreds and hundreds of flyers, because I want to awaken the minds of people who they have no idea at all. So I think that when at an early stage in my activist career, if you want to call my journey, I really wanted to make sure that I reached out to people, and there is no fail in my mind. You see, there is no, what I can't do. It's just I know it's going to happen. I won't allow it not to happen. And I think that if we all get that in our minds, that we can create our own realities in a positive love vibrational way, because love vibration is the highest vibration in the universe. At least that's what I believe.
Right. And I agree with you 100%. I really do believe, and I said it to Freeman, but I didn't really get too much confirmation. But they give us the story, and we make it real by the emotional response that we give it. I believe that in my heart. And as much as I know it's important for us to report these things, Agenda 21, chemtrails, those guide stones in Virginia, all this crazy stuff that's going on. Excuse me, I really think they give us the picture. They put the thought in our head, and we grow it. We germinate it. We incubate it. Yes, I really do. I really think we're creating it. We're doing all the work. They talk about we're slaves. Honestly, that's the way I think, and people might think I'm crazy, but I don't care. But I've been it's almost 10 years now. 2003, when we went to war. I mean, I sat there. I was working for Lowe's, and I was sitting in the lunchroom. Everybody, stops for lunch at the same time, and they have the TV on, and they're going to war, and there's people going, yeah, and they're all excited, and I'm sitting there like, this is so wrong. This isn't even real. I had tears in my eyes. I was so upset, and that was the beginning of my realization. I knew there was something wrong with 9/11. I really couldn't put my finger on it, but when we went to war, it just totally. I knew at that point that this was the wrong way to handle the situation, and just people's attitude, the revenge aspect and all that. I just knew that was wrong, and it's been a journey, and it's been a long process, but I've come to the conclusion, and I'm still open to suggestion and open to looking at things, but I really believe we're doing all the work. And it's a lot of the truthers, the people you and I, even look up to, or people that we listen to, or people that we think have an important message to share. They get so caught up emotionally and attached to whatever they're promoting that it's that energy that feeds it. That's just the way I think. But I'm open to suggestion. I'm easily distracted too, because there's so many things going on, so many things to learn. So I guess in a sense I don't stay too focused, which is not so good for me personally. My life has been very meandering, but I've also had a wealth of amazing experiences. So there's a balance there, but I'm not sure that I even understand it. But now I'm trying to work more just on intuition and just go with the flow, go with the synchronicities, and just put the one foot in front of the other, and things will fall into place the way they're supposed to. So just and that's why I like about what you're trying to do and what you've accomplished. Kind of goes on the same wavelength, and I think it's amazing how really the last 3 months I've been attracted to, drawn to, connected with just some really amazing people who kind of think like I do, or kind of are on the same wavelength, and just had some really synchronistic, wonderful adventures in the last 3 months. It's just really been mind-blowing. It's just really, and I know it's just going to get better. I really feel that. I don't have that dread. I don't have that fear. And maybe we could talk a little bit about Fukushima, because I think it's real important what's going on. And it's been 2 years. It's been over 2 years. March was 2 years, 2011. And people are very concerned. People are starting to wake up to the fact that, it's a lot more dangerous, the things that are happening in our world. And should we be hiding? Should we be running scared? Is there any place we can even go to? So maybe you have some opinion on that, Paul. Maybe you could give us some good vibrations on, what's the story?
Yeah, and I think the way you're going about it is the right way, and I think that there's something that, like Fukushima, for example, or GMOs, which is real, but I think that what we have to do is it's great to bring the truth. It's amazing to be a truther, but I think it's just as important to say, okay, this A, B, and C is lined up. That's what's happening. But I'm offering you, A, B, C, D, E, N, F, and G. I'm offering you love as a way to get out of this mess. And I think that that's the problem with a lot of messages that are going out. And that's why a lot of people, they're like, well, I just want to go back to chemtrails, and I have to end the government, I have to end the tyranny, and I just want to focus on that. See, that's what they want. They want you to focus on that. Because these I'm not even going to call them people. These beings understand how the conscious works, and they understand how the mind works. And they want us to focus on that. And that's why if you watch any of my work, I think I have about 95 videos, but if you watch even years ago, I always say love vibration because it has to be included with any message. Okay? It's kind of like, okay, someone is poisoning your water, but handle this in a peaceful, non-compliant way because they're trying to get a reaction out of us. And with that, if you ever watch that movie, I think it's called is it John Carter? I think it's called, The One with Mars.
I'm not sure.
And
Good.
Yeah, I think it's called John Carter, but. Anyway, so if these beings that have control of our planet, they want to suck every ounce of energy, not only out of the planet, but out of every single individual. And how you do that? If you're an entity that feeds off negative energy and negative vibration and lower vibration, you create chaos. Because through creating chaos, you get what? You get panic, you get anger, you get fear. And I think that that's why I want to pump out low vibration people. I want to say, it's good to be informed, but it's even greater when you can empower yourself through love awareness. And people ask me, they say, well, how did I get all this information? I didn't find, the way I think off the internet or YouTube, just through everyday experience. I mean, just through, when I first started doing this, Chrissy, I was very angry. I was really angry. I was really hateful because when I really realized just how deep the chasm is, just how deep the agenda of these few people or whatever you want to call them that run the show, you get angry. And people have a right to. But after the anger, I was like, well, I want to understand the enemy. I want to understand him. I did an interview with Curtis Davis, and, he's an occultist. And even he said, you have to understand your shadow side. You can't, you see how these new ages, love vibration. No. You have to understand both sides because you can't change anything, especially an opponent who's focusing off low vibration, unless you understand how low vibration operates. And I dug as deep into not only the occult what I could, but to different dimensional beings. I studied that. And when you think about it, it's scary stuff. But when you get through that and you understand how vibration and energy works, it's a no-brainer. Love. Plain and simple.
Absolutely.
You can tell me, listen, they can kill us, they can lock us up, they can break our bones, they can take our families, but guess what? They'll never take our obedience. You get what I'm saying? They'll never take that.
Yeah.
And listen. This, like you said it yourself. It's fake. This is an illusion we live in.
I believe.
Okay, this isn't real. This isn't really exactly. This reality is not real. If you have a dream, if any of your viewers have dreams, and you feel fear, you feel love, you feel pleasure, you feel passion, and you feel all of that, and you wake up in this reality. So I believe there's no death, and if there's no death. Once you take the fact that there's no death and that when you so-called die, you just reawaken into another reality, depending on how you live this life. So if you live this life like a jerk, you're going to wake up to another reality as a jerk. If you live this life with love vibration, that when you die, you awaken in another reality on a higher vibration. This is why they want mass chaos. Because when the hammer comes down, so to speak, all that chaos, all that anger, all that hate wrapped up in one, when them souls die, well, when we leave our bodies, we're stuck in that muck. We're stuck in that low vibrational frequency. That's what they want. How did I figure this out? Honestly, I don't know. Other than the fact that it's just by learning frequencies and energies, and that's the only answer I can have. That's the only answer I can give. Like, I watch, and other people that talk about different things, but I really believe that we have to collectively just go what resonates within us. Don't believe anything I say. Don't believe anything you say. Take it with a grain of salt. Go out and do your own homework, guys. And really, what's best for you. It would be my message. But they definitely want mass chaos. And it's a sick reality.
Right. And I totally agree. I think you're spot on with everything you're saying. Some of the people that I listened to were Michael Tessarian, Jordan Maxwell. I listen to David Icke. I even listen to Alex Jones. Some of the more loving people, Deepak Chopra, Greg Braden, people who are just trying to be more positive, to give you a more balanced message. And the dark side, how important it is to understand your own dark side. If you don't understand your own dark side, you'll never understand what you're trying to research, or what the powers that were, or the banksters, or the big corporations, the GMO, Monsanto. You won't understand any of that. It won't make any sense to you. Another thing is forgiveness. We talk about the love vibration. I really think forgiveness is just as important as the love, and I think they go hand in hand. And you probably have some, a similar perspective on forgiveness. I'm sure.
Absolutely, and I think that how many people, are willing to forgive? How many people are really willing to forgive, say, Rockefeller or Dick Cheney or any of the people we call evil villains?
Right.
What if they came out right now and they said, "Look, we're sorry." Not a lot of people are willing to forgive. And I think you really touch base on a really true thing, and that's forgiveness. Because forgiveness is key. It goes hand in hand with love, and I think that it was a real blessing for me to really get to not only interview but talk to people that were really, you understood how the mind works and understood how, people that are in the Illuminati work, if you want to call it, the illuminated ones. See, these beings, these people that operate and control us understand that we're all gods. Like, you're a goddess, I'm a god. Same thing. We are all collectively, we are unstoppable, lovable beings. And I think that we have been hypnotized, if you want to call it. We've been really hypnotized and put in a state of control because now, see, they understand and they have the power, but we don't. And that's why they use TV and video games and Miley Cyrus and iPods. And, they use all that to really keep us from reaching our true potential mentally. And I think, like, if you really look at it, if the power grid goes down, it's problem, reaction, solution. They create the problem, get a reaction off of the solution. So we're constantly looking for them to save us, and we're not really looking for ourselves to save ourselves. And it's a game. I think that this life we live, even as bad as it may seem, I think it's just a universal game. And they know it.
Right. And you're touching on so many important things. Absolutely.
We have to, though, you see, because there's so many out there who don't know it. And, if you try to bring this, even bring this to the table to people that are really anti-government and anti-Illuminati, first of all, how can you be anti-anything unless you understand what you're anti-against? You know, how could you be anti someone who's a Illuminati worshiper or Illuminati dark being worshiper or whatever? You know, you can't be against anything unless you understand it.
Mm-hmm.
It's that simple, and it's a game, because these people that, you know, the masses are against, well, the ones that are awake are against, you know, they understand about different dimensions, how different dimensions layer on top of each other. They understand about the dream state. They understand how reality works. And they sit back and they laugh at us. We're called dead matter, I think they call us. The dead, the walking dead. Because if we're not
useless feeders, they have all kinds of names, yeah.
sheep and all that stuff, right. So, you know, but people say to me all the time, aren't you afraid? You know all these things. And I said, not at all. I think that they look up to people. They really respect what we're doing in a weird sense, in a weird way, because we're awake, just like they are.
Right.
We may not be in positions of power as they are, but they're not going to do anything to us, because in their little circle, they're like, wow, look at, you know, you have this big herd of sheep, and you have me and you, and we're like, oh, the hell with this. We're gonna walk the other way. We're not gonna follow that herd. We're not zombies. We're gonna try to grab as many as we can and do our thing. And I think that if we were the so-called ones in control, let's just say, okay, and we had individuals that actually thought outside of what's supposedly normal, and we would sit back, watch them, and I'd be like, wow, this is pretty exciting here. We actually have someone who's not dead matter, someone who's not dead in the brain, who really wants to make a difference, and I would let them go, because I don't think that they're all. It's so, there's so many topics. There's so many, you know, like you said, we're really hitting on everything, and I think that tonight we really should, and I hope this really opens up a lot of minds, not only minds, but hearts of the viewers to hear this.
Right. And it is scary, and I'm glad that you were able to say when we first hear this information, we're angry. You know, we want to do something. We want to go out and, you know, I remember standing on the steps at protest in the Million Worker March. There was only about 10,000 of us, and standing there at the Lincoln Memorial and saying, well, we're so close to the White House and there's all these people, why can't we just go storm the White House? You know, and they're all looking at me like, she's really serious. And I really thought it was like a practical thing to do. I mean, that's how angry I was, and that's how, you know, I really wanted to do something. I didn't want to just stand there with a placard. I didn't want to just yell, you know, our streets or some crap. I wanted to take action, and it took me all this time to, you know, to really come to the conclusion that that's not why I have this information. That's not, you know, for some reason we're the fortunate ones because we've gone through the full spectrum. We've gone from the anger to the love end, and still, you know, still struggling with the frustrations of daily life. And, you know, each time something new comes our way, we're not always as loving and forgiving as we like to think we are, you know, when we deal with situations. But each day, you know, we get that opportunity to practice changing the vibration, changing the way we feel inside, and being aware of the way we feel inside. How many people don't even know they're walking around angry and don't even know it? They have no clue.
Exactly.
So, yeah, we're real fortunate. So we're in a sense, we're blessed, but we're not better than anybody. We're not above anybody. We're all connected. We're all in this together, you know, and the more, and I believe the 100th monkey effect, the more that we can share this information and just get people to kind of listen. They don't have to take a position one way or the other, but to just, you know, hear it, just to be able to hear it without judgment or whatever, that we can push that threshold. We can get this information out to even more people because of the open minds of the people who are listening. So it's just amazing. And like you said, it's a win-win. It's not a win-lose. It's a win-win. because whether it's on a grand scale, like if it's global, or if it's on the individual, like what we've done with our own lives, how we've transformed in our own lives, we've made that difference, however great or small it is, we've affected the vibration of the whole system.
Mm-hmm. So, and like the show right now, you could quit your show right now and just walk away and say, you know what, I want to live a life and I'm going to do my own thing and I'm done with the whole truth movement. But your seed is still planted. So, you know, you've already done your part. Not saying that you will, but if God forbid it happens, you know, you've planted that seed. So what's your message to a lot of, like, cause I'm kind of curious, like, what would your message be to, like, activists who are, like, you know, if you even bring up different vibrations or different energies, they're like, I don't want to hear that. I just want to end the government. I mean, full of anger, full of rage. They don't want to hear any of this. They don't even want to hear how the conscience works.
Well,
so what would your message be?
Yeah, believe it or not, we actually do have hosts, and they're on everybody's station, who like us in the beginning, become aware of this information, are incensed. They're so angry, and they're so angry and so frustrated that they transfer that anger and frustration onto other people who don't have the same knowledge that they do, and they get angry with other people because they don't know it. And one of the things that we do is we really turn people off by the way we present information. So if somebody's screaming at me and telling me that I'm not doing enough, or I'm not doing this, or I don't know that, and I better get the information, you know, I just as soon turn it off. I don't want to listen to it. In fact, I've come to the realization that I don't even have to deal with people who talk like that. I don't have to deal with people who have that energy around them. I can get as far away as night and day from that kind of situation, and I've been really blessed in the last 3 months to really not have to be dealing with any of that. So first of all, you know, trying to understand that if we want to win souls, you know, it's even like an evangelist, if we want to win souls, we're not going to, you know, go out there and say, well, you're a sinner and you're going to go to hell, you're lost. You know, if I want somebody to believe in what I have to say, I'm probably going to say, you know, Jesus Christ was love, and he wants you to know that he loves you, and no matter what you've done, there's nothing so terrible that you can't, you know, you can't be lifted up to the position of a child of God that you really are. You know, you're the creation of the Creator, and you're, you know, this wonderful whole being. You're not a part, or you know, just one. You're not a sinner. We get this craziness, you know, that I believed for so long. I'm not a sinner. I'm a wonderfully created being of a wonderful, amazing Creator who has given me an opportunity to exist in this 3D reality, 4D reality, whatever you want to call it, and I have the opportunity to have God through me experience a physical reality. That's what I wanted to say. We're so caught up in our emotions, in our five sense reality, what we see, hear, taste, touch, smell, that some of us, we can even talk about like sex, because sex feels so good to most of us that, you know, it can consume people, just like cigarettes or alcohol or drugs or whatever. And they get so caught up in that pleasure seeking, or whatever you want to call it, and it becomes to a point where it's no longer pleasure, it's, you know, habit, and you don't have a choice in it. That, like, it's like my father when he died, he didn't even know he was dying. He was dying from gangrene. I mean, his body was like rotting, and it was just awful. It stunk, and like he didn't even know about his own body. He didn't even know what was happening. So we can live in this existence, and we can think that we're having a wonderful life, and we can think that we're doing what we really want to do, and we can have no awareness of even our reality in this reality, or whatever you want to call it. Like, we have no true concept of what we're even doing. We're just like going through the motions. And then there's others of us who have awakened, for whatever reason. We're here for a purpose, I'm sure. We're here, to make a change, if not in ourselves, but in some small way or even a big way with the rest of the world and maybe the universe and beyond, that have come to the realization of our own humanity, of our own physical being, of our relationship to each other and our relationship to the Creator, whatever you want to call that, whatever that is to you, whatever that means. And each day, in each moment, to live in this precious moment now, to try to understand, like, how can I make this better? What do I need to do? What am I sensing? What am I feeling within myself? What kind of vibrations are coming to me that are going to move me in one direction or another? So even to have the realization, and there's so many people walking around that don't even know they're alive. They don't even understand the amazingness of our bodies and what we can do, and and all these wonderful things, and the stuff that we're still learning about consciousness and the vibrational energy that we exist in, that we are, because everything's energy. It's a construct. I believe in time travel. I believe there's evidence you can prove to where they've gone back and they've manipulated things and kept us locked in this 5 sense reality, whatever you want to call it, kept us locked in, not understanding our own essence. So it's just, I don't even know if I'm answering your question, but it's like,
you're doing great. You're doing great. Keep going.
I wanted to say that because when you were talking earlier, it kind of slipped out of my mind, and then it just came back that we're trapped. When you talk about being a slave, we're trapped in our own physical senses. That's what we're really trapped in. We're trapped in the physicality of our bodies, of the physical bodies, of the 4D, whatever you want to call it, of this reality. And some of us never get out of that. And those of us that do, I think, have a mandate, as you said, to try to awaken the others, to try to, say that. And it's how that we do it. It's how, and as you asked, it's how that we do it. We could do it so many ways. We could use all kinds of wile and guile and all. We could be manipulative. We can be loving, or we can be generous, or we can be selfish. We can choose not to share this information because we could think like other beings do, that, well, you're too stupid if you can't figure it out. That's your problem. And some people, when they do. When you first get this information, I mean, I grew up, I was coming from an abusive family. My father was physically, he was a monster in a lot of respects because the way that he beat us. But, and it took me so many years, like I would say 20 years, and I've had addiction in my life, and I've been clean and sober for, 22 years, and coming through that penal mentality of wanting to punish back, I still sense it in myself. I still notice, like, sometimes how I might treat certain men that I sense are angry. My guard will come up, and I won't realize it until maybe a couple encounters, and I'll be like, yeah, why did I respond that way? Why wasn't I more loving? Why wasn't I more sympathetic, or something? And I just won't be able to be there because I still am stuck in some emotional baggage from my past, and and if I realize it, I'm blessed, and I can bless others because I'll give a better response and I'll show a better way. But if I'm not aware of it, I'll give some negativity. And we'll feed off of that. We'll feed each other that. We're not feeding each other the positive, the love, the forgiveness, the generosity, the kindness. We're we're feeding off something that's totally what we're supposed to be working against. You know, and not that I'm all powerful that I could even do that, but I know that within myself that if I'm aware of it, I have an opportunity to change that. And I love what you said too, that I create my reality. And I don't even think that way. You said I know that this is the way it's going to be, and I keep my focus on that. I don't waver. I don't doubt. You know, and in that respect, you're a lot stronger than I am, because I still, maybe because I'm a woman, you know, maybe because of my own guilt and shame from my past, you know, from all the things that I've experienced, you know, haven't really worked through as well as I would like to have. You know, I get stuck. I do get stuck, but not anywhere near as bad as I was, but I know there's still a lot more, you know, to work through. And I think when I realize that I am my brother's keeper, that's always been one thing since I was a child that stuck in my head from Bible study. You know, I went to all different churches and went to Catholic school and, you know, got away from that and was Protestant and all these other things, and, you know, got involved in everything but Jehovah's Witnesses. I never got involved with that, or the Mormons, but, you know, all the other different denominations of Christian. And what, you know, if I'm my brother's keeper, how can I help, you know, and be of service? So when we remember that, you know, it isn't about getting what we think we deserve or getting what we want, realizing that we have within ourselves everything that we need to create the wonderful life that we want to have, really believe in that, and then being able to take that from within ourselves because we believe and love ourselves, then we can share and give that to other people. So as you said, until we deal with that dark side, with our shadow, we can't get there. So I feel like it's my interview. You there, Paul?
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing what you're saying. I'm flowing with this with you. It's true.
Yeah, I think
great.
that's what you're saying.
Great hearing you.
Same thing.
It's really great hearing what you're saying, and I think that once we put it in our mind, you know, the universe, once we put a thought in our mind that we want to do something, the universe is really just going to get out of our way and let us do what we want. And, you know, we can't look at life that, okay, I want to build this perfect wall. We can't do that, but what we can do is we can say, I'm going to place a brick as perfect as I can, and then continue to put brick by brick by brick by brick by brick, one brick at a time, until I make the perfect wall. I think that that's the way we should go about, you know, not only getting rid of negative people in our lives or changing our lives, or just creating a reality in general. I think that we should look at it to where instead of we're going to have this perfect wall, that we're going to just step by step place a brick as perfect as we can until we get that wall. And I think that it's really we have to first eliminate the fact there is no it can't happen, because once we install that in our mind, then we've already limited ourselves and set ourselves up for failure. And I think accepting the fact that no matter how much we may think we know, we're still learning, and that we're not perfect. I think that, you know, even myself, you know, I cry, I get upset, I have anger from time to time. I mean, that's just who we are. No one's perfect. So I think that when we get in a situation, excuse me, when we get in a situation where we're confronted with a negative person or a negative situation, we have to really instinctively, through repetition of training our minds to be more positive, when we encounter a negative situation, we just say, you know what, you don't live here anymore. You're not a part of my reality. Get out of my face. And that's what you do. Plain and simple. This is our reality. We're in control. And once we install that in our minds, it may not work every time, but I guarantee that 90% of the negativity it won't happen. because we consciously willed into existence reality that we want to see. And by awakening other people to that thought process, we're also making a ripple effect throughout the planet. And, like you said about time travel, I mean, it's absolutely true. Try telling activists that, they're going to laugh. They're going to call you crazy. But that's what I think we should do. That's our job. I think that we're love warriors in an aspect, because we not only say, hey, look, you can change the system, but you have a right to be angry, and you have a right to that anger, but there's a way to reverse it and turn that anger into, positive vibration and thoughts to where you can take down the system with just a single thought. I mean, it's been proven that if you have everyone that, think positive, that they can change. I mean, if you have 10,000 people that just decide to quit their jobs and say, I'm not going to take the system anymore, and they just decide to grow their own gardens and do this and do that, and we're just not going to rely on the system anymore, it'll change. Because what are they going to do? They're going to call out the National Guard, or they're going to call martial law, and they're going to come, and these people that are ready for war, they're ready for resistance, they're ready for rebellion, they're going to need people that are peaceful. Like, what? We're not having it. We're done. What can they do? We're going to in turn change them. Because if we're like some, brainwashed militia that's ready to fight and bring martial law to the United States of America, and we encounter a non-compliant, peaceful, uprising with non-compliance, we're going to be like, wow, we weren't expecting this. We weren't expecting that. We were expecting aggressiveness. And I think that people and beings that operate on low vibrational energy, they want to feed off of us. And by us, in turn, arguing back and forth, it feels good to get your point out. It feels good to argue. But at the end of that argument, you feel drained. You're like, wow, I just set all this negative energy and didn't accomplish anything.
Right. Did you ever hear the book, The Celestine Prophecy?
No.
Well, I don't have the link. I'll try to get it for you after we're done talking. But it's like a story. It's not really like a nonfiction. It's more like a fiction. It's written as a story, and it's about these people's lives, and they come in contact with this ancient prophecy. And they go through this journey, and they find these different insights. And I actually did a show with one of the hosts of Shiziz radio, Muddy Mudman, and he practices it. He's been involved with it for a long time. And another one of the hosts, Cultus Negrand, I think he was the first one to introduce me to it, but I had seen the movie. They actually made a movie about it, but it's a book, and I read the book, and these insights actually are like a design for living. And even though it's written like a story, it's like a real practical way to help you to understand how to release the energies that block you from yourself and other people, and then to make you more effective in what you do, even to the point of not just knowing about these energies, but also to be able to read them and to see them, and maybe not with the physical eye, but to feel the energy and to just know and to be able to read it. Like, I think that's what you're doing, but it just gives you a better understanding of what it is that you're trying to do and how you can do it more effectively. And as I said, we got up to the 6. I think there's like 10 insights, and we're supposed to do another show to conclude the rest of the insights. And off the top of my head, I don't remember, but you can Google them. And I'm not on the internet on any web page because of the encoder was kind of acting up before. But I think I think it's something that maybe you'd want to investigate, because it might even help further your understanding of yourself and the energies that you're talking about. And it's right in line with everything that you're saying. So I don't think when you read it, I don't think there's going to be anything that's going to be put offing that you would reject, because I think you would embrace it. And I know that I have, and I don't live it on a daily basis, but I think after reading the book and getting a better understanding, it talks about those relationships and how we can have those better relationships and how to be more effective, and what we need to do within our own thought process in order to make that to make the reality of what we're trying to do more effective. So I'll definitely give you that link, and I think you'll come to the same understanding, and I need to read it again too, because it's just a wonderful insight. There's 10 insights, and they're just amazing how they really work in your life, and it's just but I don't know where that's going. Somebody might have given me the link. Thank you, Colty. So I can give it to you right here in Skype, so I don't have to mess with the sweet webpage. But there's your link for the Celestine Prophecy. So you can. It's like 150 pages. It's really a quick read. It's a good story. You could probably read it in one night. It's very interesting, and I think it may. I know it'll help me benefit me more, and it's really been amazing since I had the opportunity to even share with these other gentlemen about this process. But I think you'll get the same benefits that I have and other people have, and it's Freeman, he recommends it too. So I don't want to persuade you. I can name some names and try to get you. Thank you, Cultist. Thank you so much. Give him a hug, because he's awesome. And I don't know where we want to go from here, because it's just we're both on the same wavelength. We're just going to keep feeding off of each other, because it's I think this is really what we're supposed to be doing. I really do.
Yeah.
And I think if people understood this better, people understood that the love vibration, as you said, is this positive energy, is allowed to manifest within yourself, within your life, that it just permeates everything. It's like the sun. It glows in all different directions. It just, from top to bottom, left to right, up, down, inside out, it just blows, glows from every angle. It's just, and you attract people that are on the same, the absolute same wavelength. Have you noticed that with yourself? Have you noticed in maybe the last few years, like where you were at and the people that are in your life today, the difference?
I've noticed. Oh my God! I've noticed. The only thing I can say is incredible change on a positive level. It's just you get. I just want to say I'm really humble, and it's just a blessing to really even be doing what I'm doing right now. And have certain people in my life that are in my life right now, because we all have to realize that life really isn't peaches and roses, and that to really know what we know and have been able to go through what we've gone through, not only through knowing what we know, but the individual experiences that we have, to be where we're at right now on a positive level, it's amazing. I mean, and I've met so many people, and I kind of feel like they've been put in place. I mean, like you said, when you operate on a higher vibration and a higher vibrational thought process with positive thinking. I mean, it's just, you meet people that are really on the same level that you're at. And there's people that were in my life that really were negative, and when they seen the path I chose, which was the path of truth, and the path not only of truth, but, okay, here's the truth, but here's the love. And I know that sounds so corny to people. You know, like you're just like sitting there meditating, like, it's not like that.
No.
You know, if you look at my interview when I was a guest on We Are Change Fresno, I think it was. Amazing interview. I was really hyper. I'm like, we need to do this, we need to do that. But it's all going to start. I was really hyped, really full of energy, and but I always spread the love awareness, because it's what it's all about. And people that seen my path, I would have coffee thrown at me, giving out flyers. There's no such thing as chemtrails, you're crazy. Boom, there's a coffee thrown from a car. People will down. People have to understand that through our paths, and especially through mine, that you're going to be criticized, you're going to be down, you're going to lose friends, you're going to lose family, and you're going to a lot, because we have to break. Once we break this fake illusion that we live in, and this fake reality thought that we have, we change who we are. It's kind of like a cocoon, or what is it? Before it's a butterfly, it has to break out and become the butterfly.
Yeah, metamorphosing.
Right, so I think that's what we do, and I think that a lot of people that have known me, I mean, there's people in my life that I didn't even get along with, that I'm speaking to now, because of what I'm doing. They're just like, wow, dude, it's amazing what you're doing, and, they look at what me and you do, and they'll say, well wow, what can I do to be enlightened like that, to be happy like that, to be determined like that? Because a lot of people say, you're going to fail, he'll give up, he'll quit, or she's not going to make it, she's no good. And when they see just how we're creating the reality that we want, we're taking limitations. There are no limitations. We're taking it, we're throwing it out the window, and we're saying, this is what it's going to be, and this is how it's going to happen. It's that simple. If you're not on the same boat, then jump in the ocean. Okay? That simple. I'll throw you a life raft, I'll throw you a life raft, but if you don't grab onto it and jump on the boat, then that's on you. And I think that, that's what happened with me. It was just, I didn't care. Have I had days where I sat and cried? Absolutely. Have I had days where I wanted to quit and just say, hey, look, maybe my life would be better if I didn't know what I know, and my life would be better if I had that big family with the, nice swimming pool and the happy, not, what I'm saying. If I had a lot of money and had like this really great life, and there's times there's times when I get depressed, because when you know so much and you see what's going on, it bothers you. But then you snap out of it and you're like, this is what I'm here to do. This is who I am, and then it doesn't bother me anymore, because I realize that I am so humbled to be able to reach so many people, and people like yourself, and really it feels great. It's just, I wouldn't have it any other way. Right. Yeah. Because if you look at the people that are asleep, it's like, I don't know. Because and that's the thing the viewers have to also realize, is that the reason why a lot of people are so angry when they first wake up to what's going on is because you realize you're a slave. You've been a slave for a long time. And now, once you realize that you've been lied to and manipulated and brainwashed, that's when it becomes your individual job to change things. And I think that people get angry because it's like, you find out what reality really is set for you, and you have to really get your bootstraps up and you get your big boy or big girl pants on and really create your own reality. You have to say, okay, well, shit, this is how things are, so now it's my personal responsibility to make my life happy and to change the world. Because that's the thing. See, once people like us, when we realize what's going on, I don't think there is any going back. You'll always know. Like you can try to fake it and just put it all behind you, but I don't think you can.
No, you can never untake the red pill.
You can't, right? There's no going back. It's like, I've tried like a week or two, just like, I'm just going to hang out and do the whole guy thing and just, which is fine. Like, listen, I can sit in the bar and watch sports and really, just do my thing with people. I can. But I always have to have the other side, the truth chaser side, to where I want to support change. I want to support activists. I want to support positive change. And I want to, promote love vibration. I'm never going to stop. It's just who we are. We're warriors. We are white warriors. And we throw the truth at people. And sometimes the truth is raw, but hey, we'll hug you after. That's what it's about. It's amazing.
It is, and to think, I never knew, I always thought I was born at the wrong time. I always thought that, I missed the mark when I was a little younger, but now that I've come, full circle with this information and stuff, I was like, no, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is really it. And it's sometimes it doesn't,
right.
This isn't enough. Like you said, you should have the house, you should have the husband, you should have the, great kids. I do have great kids, but, you always think you want something better or different, and you never are satisfied with what you have. And that's like living in the now, so important. And to realize that what an amazing time it is to be alive right now, to know what we know, to be doing what we're doing, and all this. There really isn't much greater that we can do. I just, when you wrap your head around that, when you understand the implications of what is happening and where you're at on the spectrum, if you draw a line, you make a line, and totally evil to totally good, whatever that means, and put yourself on there, probably closer to the middle, and to be able to look in both directions, and to be able to see. You can't see all the way to the end because we never get the full picture. We probably never will until we're on the other side. But to realize what we're in the middle of, it's like, you can't make this up. If you wrote a science fiction novel or a fantasy, could you make it as good as this? Could you write it as great as this epic that we're living in? Could you do it?
Right.
It's just mind-boggling. It's unbelievable. It's beyond your wildest dreams, and I don't know what else to say. It's just, we live in the most amazing times. We really do. And the possibilities are endless. And that's literally that. Even with the darkest things that are happening that you can imagine, they're still the most amazing, beautiful things. They haven't destroyed everything.
And look at it this way, that, as I said before, it's all a game. I mean, without the bad, without the evil, how can we grow as souls? How can we grow? I mean, that's the challenge, you see, because that's how, as individual beings, we grow, because you have to have both. You have to have the light and the dark if you want to grow. Because
absolutely.
I did an interview, and the one guy had said to me, he said, well, these things that are happening for a reason. Right. She's about time travel and all, and how we individually ascend and get better and understand ourselves better, and we can better our people around us and our children, my kids, your kids, alike, and teach them what we know. And I think that's what it's all about. It's all about I see what's going on, and I want to change it, and that's it feels so great to be able to, like you said, be here in the now. Just amazing, because when all is said and done, we're going to look back at. I believe that we're all going to look back at this when we're on the other side, if you want to say, and we're going to say, wow, that was one hell of a ride, and I always say I am completely insane with what I do because I love it so much that I want to come back again. Like people say, oh, I can't wait to go home. I can't wait to go home. No, I don't want to go home. I'm going to come back because I didn't have a great upbringing, but I love the fact that I didn't, because that made me who I am now. You see?
Mm-hmm.
I love the fact that I went through painful relationships because that made me learn things to better myself and empower others now. And, it's just amazing to go through all that, because without all that, we'd be zombies. We wouldn't have what we have now, We would be, I guess normal, because I don't consider myself normal at all, but I guess we would just be normal.
But would it be normal, or we would just be out of touch? I think we just wouldn't be in touch with the full spectrum of life. We really wouldn't be living in the sense that we actually are now.
Right.
And in the beginning it doesn't feel too much like living. It feels more like torture and pain.
It sure does, sure.
Yeah, but as you learn to embrace it and learn to understand that, and it's not even embracing, it's more or less a detachment. I think we get detached from the emotional wreckage, or whatever you want to call it, the emotional aspects of life. And it's not that we don't care, or we're incapable of feeling or anything like that. It's just that we're numb? I don't even think it's numb. I think we've come to the realization that putting all that energy into the emotions on certain issues is so draining and so life-taking that we realize that we don't need to do that anymore. We don't need to feed that, like you said. That's not my job. It's no longer my job to feed this emotional baggage, or whatever it is, or this it's like watching the little starving children on television, and they're asking you for money. Well, they do that for a reason. They put these malnutrition children, they set up this $1 million production infomercials, and they suck energy and emotion out of you to get you to buy into paying them money that they're going to use to get more wealthy, not necessarily feed those children.
No, well, the children are probably going to become like slave labor or something like that. So they're not only sucking our energy, they're sucking their energy too.
Right. So, and if you look at it in that respect, in all these different social structures, the banks, the corporations, agriculture, oil industry, the military, medical, science, education, just go down the list, social services, whatever, and you look at it in that construct of, it's set up specifically not to help and uplift, but it's really there. Its main purpose is to drain energy, and whether you want to call that energy money or whatever, time, emotions, whatever, it's just taking. And that's one of the Celestine prophecies, that when you come up around a person, one of the insights, when you come around a person who has that negative energy, they're stealing it from you. They're stealing your energy. So instead of letting them steal it, you give it to them. You give them their energy. So like with me, I'm still like running away from these negative people, but I guess you come to the point where you can stand there and you can just give them so much of yourself that it actually feeds you. It actually feeds you. That you're not drained like you would have been when you weren't able to like understand even what was happening and why it's happening. So that's one of the insights. So just a little teaser there, but it teaches you, like, I think it's like the 5th insight or something, like, don't let them steal it, give it away, give the energy away. So it's kind of on the same thought pattern that we're talking about love and forgiveness. It's taking it even to a higher level, to where we have control over the energy that we have, and we decide, who's going to get it, because we're just getting it. And in that process, we're feeding ourselves. It's an absolute win-win thing, and I don't even want to pretend that I understand the whole implication of it, but that's kind of the gist of it. So that's a little teaser to kind of get you to get into this, because I think you'll get it, and I think you'll really love it, and I think it'll help make some more changes and empowering you, and definitely I need to reread it, because it's not like riding a bike. You do forget stuff, especially when you're like on this level and there's so many things to remember. So, yeah. Yeah, that's another thing. Like, how do we retain all this information? Like, how do we do that? It's just like, and it's not even like I don't remember names, and like I'll remember concepts and I'll remember connections. Like, this thing is connected to this because you can see where there's parallels and stuff. But I wouldn't be able to sit here like some people, and they'll give you names, dates, times, and they'll just give you the whole story and the whole rundown. I don't necessarily, I'm not able to do that. But in a lot of respects, like I can draw those connections, and I can see how these things, are really connected. They're not separate. They're not happening isolated. They're not happening in a bubble. It's a grand scheme. It's not it's not all these isolated incidents, although they look that way. They're all done, for an effect. And and as you're talking about energy,
Well, it's like if we walk into a party and, we're surrounded by people we like, and then you have that one girl who comes in the party and no one likes her. As soon as she walks in that door, what happens?
Yeah, everybody's
she brings
energy.
everyone down. She brings everybody down. And like with relationships, we want someone that's on the same wavelength and the same energy level and the same has the same mindset that we have. And I think that when we meet someone, as soon as they start to bring us down, because they want to feed off of our they want to bring us down to their level, so we're on a level of we're getting, we're feeding each other with negativity. I think that what happens with that is we have to say, okay, well, I'm going to try to steer you in the right direction. I care that I'm going to help you, but then I'm going to let you go because if I don't want you in my circle. And I think that in order for people to change, people say, well, how can I go ahead and think positive? How can I go ahead, because I'll forget the next day. How can I study this or really awaken myself? Once I'm awakened, how can I stay and do this and do that? Well, a real good thing would be called the mirror effect, or a letter note on a refrigerator that says, I am infinite consciousness, I am unstoppable, I am all love. And you wake up every day, you'll see that on the refrigerator door, and boom, it's in your mind every day. Or you can just look in the mirror every day and say, I love you, you're amazing, you're an amazing individual, and you're going to really get out there and change, the world. That's what I believe.
Yeah, I think we've read the same books and watched the same pods, absolutely. I totally agree.
You think we read the same books, you said?
Yeah, we read the same books, and I think we watched the same videos.
I don't know. I honestly, I just get this. I get this. I honestly got this through experience. And if I was to see a show or I don't read too much, but I like to write, but I'm not a big reader. I'm more of a experiencer. And I think that I kind of feed off of my own experiences and the smiles of other people. I give people hugs. Well, if I go to a rally, everyone goes, "Oh, there he is," and they know that I'm all about positive vibration, and it feels good. That's I love it, and I think that when I watch a video, say of whether it be David Icke or this person or that person, a lot of what they say, I say. And I think that, I think they got the information that they got just from waking up. Because I think on a subconscious level, when we wake up, it just flows through us, through our emotions, through our experiences. I mean, some people study, the ways of the ancients, or some people study, people from the past. I never really did that. I just went with how I felt. And there's been times that I've maybe watched a video of this or a video of that, and I could really connect with what they were saying and learn a thing or two. But 90% of what I talk to people like, oh my God, I heard that from this person, or I heard that from that person. I'm like, I just get it from going with the flow. I've had it where I would sit in a restaurant and I would be talking to people. Like I have a shirt, like a, alien hybrid shirt. And they were like, oh my God, have you ever heard of abductions or this or this or this?
Mm-hmm.
And, I get into that with them and I start talking. They're like, are you sure you're not Hindu? You don't believe in like reincarnation? Like this person, that person? I said, no. They're like, well, the way you're talking, like you have that religious, mindset. I'm like, I have the religion of life. Like some things I agree with in the Bible. Exactly. Like sometimes I have, I take what I can out of the Holy Bible. Things I resonate with, I keep. Especially the fact that, I take the love vibration out of the Bible and I keep it close to me. There's some things I take out of Buddhism that I keep close to me. Something I take from everything. And if it doesn't apply, let it fly. It's that simple. And all I want to do is make people, I want to make as many people that are around me happy. It's that simple. And I think that's why, if I was to get in a relationship, it's like, I'm not going to deal with your negativity. Plain and simple. I'm willing to go 50-50, but I just refuse to let the BS in my circle. It's that simple. It's crazy, but
no, it's.
And I hope that my daughter, she has learns from what I'm doing and empowers herself. Says, I'm going to take what I can from Dad that resonates with me, and I'll go throw the rest away, and I'm fine with that. She can even throw the important things away if she wants. Go ahead. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just, and it goes back, to how amazing it is that we're able to do what we do. It's crazy. We're going completely insane, but in a good way.
No, and that's another thing. And when we have little chats, sometimes we'll just come together on the radio and we'll have little talks, and they're not broadcasts. It's just we do it in Skype, whatever. And we always go around, and it's like cyclical, I guess. That we want to present this information, but we also realize that not everybody can handle it. And some people are going to be frightened, and some people are going to be angry. And believe it or not, some people are going to go crazy because it's just going to be so absolutely overwhelming. They're not going to know what to do. I mean, to wake up, suppose you're a military family. You love your country, you love your president, you respect the government, America's mighty and, all powerful and can do no wrong, and we've done so much good, and, and just have this mindset that, life is a certain way, and then have somebody like me come in and not only rip your covers off, but take some of your skin, and almost like bash it into your head and tell you you're stupid because you don't know this. I'm not saying that we do that or we should do it, or it does happen.
But they'll take it that way because they're not educated on what's going on, so they'll take it as an insult automatically. They get into what's called fight mode in their mind because you're basically taking everything that they live for and saying, hey, guess what? Your commander-in-chief doesn't care. Guess what? You're fighting. You're out there fighting for the rich so they can get richer and control the masses. You tell them that, and they're gonna get in what I call fight mode because it's like shock. You're shocking their mind.
Right.
And when you shock their minds to what really what's going on, real reality is, they don't know how to. I don't know. There's this. I've never really got into the whole. Like, there's just some people you just can't reach. Mm-hmm. it seems that way. But like the one thing, like I'll be on Facebook and I see people and they have these chemtrail groups or these GMO groups or these anti-NSA groups, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, on your search engine on Facebook, just search ESPN. Over 20 million people are on that. Okay.
What is
and
it?
I'm
not sure I know what it is.
ESPN Sports.
Oh, ESPN Sport. I got it.
You get right. So you would do like the ESPN Sports, or if you would search like what's that, the wrestling or Fox.
WWE. Yeah.
Right. No. Like go on Facebook. Just on Facebook. You know how you search for people, like find friends, I think it is. Right. Well, what you want to do is say you type in like the Weather Channel, and it'll come up the Weather Channel. It'll come up like 20 million likes. Let's just say, right?
Right.
Or 20 million followers. But it gives you the chance, like you'll see on their wall, whatever they post, and you'll see how many people comment on that, like just a comment section. And what I've been doing is like, instead of posting like these individual circles, like anti-chemtrail group or anti-this group, because what we're basically doing is we're swapping sticks. We're swapping all these ideas with each other, and it's getting nowhere because it's like, we all know this already. When are we going to start sharing it elsewhere? So what I do is I'll go to Fox News, where people don't know anything, and Fox will say, well, the weather today was, partly cloudy, blah blah blah, and you'll have I think maybe say 3,000 comments and 5,000 likes on that particular post, and I'll just comment my website right on there. I'll put, you want to see what's really going on with the weather? www.truthchaser.com. You want to see what Fox News really isn't telling you? www.truthchaser. And I do that. I do that with the football, like wherever you're from. Say you're from Toronto. Like I'll go to Toronto Blue Jays. Okay. And you'll see it. They'll post a picture of like a pitcher, and it'll get like 5,000 hits and 20,000 comments. And I'll continuously make comments on that because listen, you could wake up hundreds of people doing that way. And you're not doing it in an individual group. You're actually waking up minds that don't know. I've got about 500 YouTube subscribers just by doing that.
I did that before, but not the way you did. I think I just was posting the same message, and I got blocked on Facebook for doing that.
Yeah.
I got, they blocked me from posting. So yeah, I've gone through all those different changes, but yeah, I think what you're saying is maybe a little bit more practical. If you want to see something, why don't you check out my website?
Right, like you have to realize, like you were saying, how you and your group, you really talk about how like you have to be really gentle with awakening people that don't understand what's going on. So what you do is like, if you have like, you have to understand that these beings that are holding down humanity and mind tricking everyone, or they understand how the mind works. So that brings me back to what I said earlier. When you understand how they work and they manipulate reality, then in order to reverse that and awaken masses to the reality that you know is real, you have to do the same thing. So if you go on Facebook and you put the food channel, you say, hey, do you want some really good way to make some really good pies? www.awake awake this, and
right.
That's what you do. And you're just commenting. So like if they have, let's just say they have 5 posts in 5 hours, you make 1 post in each of the 5, just enough so where you don't get banned.
Right.
And I think I've got like warnings where they're like, if you continue to do this, we're going to stop you from making comments. So I log out of that account, go on another account, and they continuously feed them truth. So this is why I say, see, people, look, that are listening right now, if you can't get off your couch, if you can't protest, if you can't do lectures, if you can't, do something constructive online, because there's ways around it. It's amazing, because I think that if we go ahead and we continuously post in the same groups, we're just sharing ideas with each other. That's not a bad thing. It's amazing. But
yeah, but it's just kind of like keeping it in, it's incestuous.
Right.
You're not going out and, share and spreading it. You're just keeping it
Right.
locked up in the same. But you know, and it's funny. But believe it or not, I have a certain circle of friends. I don't even say it. It fluctuates because there's different people, and I have, like you, I have different Facebook pages. But I noticed that even the people that post they're all different. I mean, they're stuck in the anger. You know, they want to promote. We need to get our guns and go. You know, take care of the government. You know, it's like all this stuff, and it's like, well, no, that's not really what we want to do. That's not the way we want to handle this. You know, there's other ways of doing it. And sometimes I'll comment. Sometimes I'll make like 2-word comments, and I'll say, are you sure this is what you want to do? I don't see where this is going to benefit. And they might comment back. They might get mad. I mean, I've had people get pissed off at me. I've had people tell me that I should unfriend certain people because of this, that, and the other. And then, I didn't do it at that particular moment because I thought I was being tolerant. And I ended up a few months later, it was like, well, yeah, I've asked this person a couple times to stop doing that. And it finally got to the point where I wasn't unfriending anybody, but now I'll just unfriend them because there's no reason why I want to have whatever they're commenting to continue, because I don't really. It's either unappreciated because it's something really negative, or it's something like go shop at Walmart. And it's like, okay, I'm not. I've given you links. I've shown you different things. It's like you said, let them go, and it's okay. And I don't even worry about like how many friends I have or how many people are commenting on my things. I know people are reading what I post, because every time I post something, somebody either makes a comment or makes a like. So, and some people don't comment, but they're still watching what I'm posting. So, I post what I like, and sometimes I post it just because I want to watch it, but I don't have time to watch it when I'm posting it. So I'll post things I haven't even watched yet, and I probably should, put a misnomer in there and say, I haven't watched this yet, but, if you did, give a comment. I could say something, but I usually don't. I don't interact on Facebook in that respect. But sometimes, like, if somebody sends me a message or something like that, I'll respond, or I'll offer a link. I actually have an alternative energy Facebook group page, and I'm having a alternative energy seminar on December 5th this year, and I have 4 people from Facebook that are going to be presenters. I have Fernando Vasa, I have Cultus Negrand, who gave us a link. I'll have John Trello, who I met since I've moved here back to the mountains. He's actually my guitar teacher, and my first lesson, which I didn't have, was spent like an hour and a half talking about anti-hydrofracking, what he's done, and all this stuff. And I was so amazed. He gave me this book. It's like a coffee table book from the Post-Carbon Institute. Apparently they made these books, these beautiful books, and it talks about the pillaging of the earth and what we've done with fossil fuels and all this. I mean, he gave me this book. I was like, my God. And it's just a wonderful thing. And we're also going to have Liam Sheff, who I have somebody from Facebook says, well, you really should interview this guy. And I got him to come on, and I knew nothing about him. He's apparently he's a comedian, he's an author, he's really this wonderful, amazing, articulate man who does this wonderful programs and just really does a great job doing what we do, but on a different level. He's more practical, and he calls himself a conspiracy realist. So he's on a different spectrum than where we're at, what we're talking about. I don't know that he doesn't understand what we're saying, but he's just more practical, he thinks, and he has a different way. And in fact, when he's talking about Fukushima, he's encouraging people to move to, southern hemisphere. It's closer to the equator. And I'm like, well, you got to know by now there really isn't anywhere to go. There really isn't any place to go. But he still has a message. He still has an important thing to say because he understands peak oil. He understands, how dependent we are on fossil fuels. He tries to relate that to alternative energies and with a bit of, we'll say witticism. I don't really want to say sarcasm, but he can, but not in a grating way. He's more of a comedian. He uses a lot of humor and, tries to say that, we do have these other alternatives, but, like wind, but what about the birds, like just the way he says things is funny. So I'm going to have these 4 amazing men, and I wish I had more women, but maybe I'll do this again and I'll be able to showcase women that are going to bring alternative energy possibilities, solutions to this community that's totally immersed in the fracking. They're selling their land for pennies on the dollar, really. And the justification is because they've never been to the ocean and they got a chance, they had some money and he had a chance to go see the ocean, which I would never, deny that's, wonderful that you're able to do that. But at what cost? When we make these decisions, what are the ramifications? What are the long-term problems? Right. Is this totally beneficial for the environment, for your family, for the generations of family that you may have, for your community, for the world, And we've lost that in a sense. We've lost touch with the generational aspect. We've lost touch with I am my brother's keeper, and we've lost touch with what are really important things in life. Has money, really the value of money, increased that greatly, which we all know it has no value. It's only the construct that we believe that it has value. And and the issue of affluence, the disease of affluenza, thinking that if we had the money, if we had the prestige, if we had the status, would our lives really be better? Would it really make a difference? So here we are, you and me, and I'll assume, because I do that often, happy people who don't have a lot in the ways of worldly wealth or affluence, but we have happiness and we have joy and we have a purpose, and it's fulfilling, and it's not even just a hobby, it's like a way of life, and it's just amazing, so it's there's so many things.
No, go ahead, continue. I just said it was amazing.
That's I don't know what else to say, because like I could get frustrated and I could say, well, that's nice you got to go to the beach, but how are you going to eat that in 10 years? What's going to happen to your land? Are you going to be able to drink your water in 10 years? And I actually talked to people who were affluent in the community, and I said they're making lawsuits against what these companies are doing because it's not being regulated by the government, blah blah. And they actually come back and say, well, who's to say that these people making the lawsuits even have a case, like they're valid or they're truthful or it's real? I mean, they're actually saying that. I'm saying, well, they're in court. Didn't they have to bring some kind of evidence to prove that they have a case? that what they're saying is reasonable? That it has merit? And they're looking at me straight in my face like I got 3 heads and I'm stupid. How could I believe that these court cases that the people are actually winning against the big fracking system have any, right or, whatever to even, bring a case like that. Like it has no merit. It has no value. And I'm like, who am I talking to? am I talking to aliens? Am I talking, and that brings me back, well, where do I have the forgiveness and the love and all the other stuff? And I'm like, and, it's just, it's just wild. And I, completely sympathize with you or empathize with you with what you're saying, how difficult it is. But I don't think it's our job to wake people up. I really don't. And I'll say this because I think it's important to say, I have my own truth, and I've learned that if people want to hear what I have to say, they'll listen. And if they don't, they won't. And I have to discern who those people are, because there was a time when I didn't, and I just went around and I just told anybody. And I mean, I scared the hell out of a lot of people. Telling people, our government's a bunch of Satanists, or, and I had a woman who had a hearing aid, and she literally tried to shut it off, and she turned it the wrong way, and it made that awful sound, that they make when it's like a feedback thing. And it took that before I realized, you're scaring people, you're upsetting people, you're really not making people happy, you're really not, doing what you think you're trying to achieve. So knowing how to discern who wants to listen, who really wants to listen to what you have to say. And platforms like Facebook and YouTube are great, and the way you're doing it, going to these different websites or different Facebook pages and saying if you want to know more or you want to understand things a little clearer, why don't you check out my website or my Facebook page. So I think that's a more loving and kind than I have done in the past. So, and that's what kind of led me in 2009 to do the radio show, was because nobody was listening to me. So isn't that weird? That's a crazy way to start a radio show. You're not listening to me, so I'll start a radio show. But that's what I did. So, but anyway. So, we got about 10 minutes. No, we got about 8 minutes left. 2 hours. We did it. Almost.
That's it? I was hoping for another hour, but okay.
You want to go another hour?
I'm
I mean, we can do this again. I'm happy to have you come back. But maybe
it was great being here.
Yeah, give your website and any other links that are important to you, or give some final last words to our
link
listeners.
of love.
Yeah.
No, but it's you guys can reach me on Facebook under Paul Wesley or French Truth Chaser. French Truth Chaser is primarily my backup account. But if you want to get all the good posts that I post daily, it's Paul Wesley, www.FrenchTruthChaser.com, and YouTube.com/FrenchTruthChaser. Like I say, resistance is necessary, but love is always key, and it's been a really great being on tonight. And I'm just really humbled and grateful to be doing what we're doing, and what me and you are doing, and everyone else. And self-empowerment is key, and we really have to believe in ourselves and believe that we can really change things. So thanks a lot for having me.
And absolutely, and that's what you're doing, Paul. And thank you so much for volunteering, and thank you so much for agreeing to come and speak with me tonight on Alchemical Connections. You've been an amazing guest, yeah, and we'll do this again, absolutely.